Welcome to Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning for Thursday, December 14th. I'm your host, Tom Orr. The Cotton Bowl game against Missouri in 15 days. The game against Michigan in 352 days. When the Buckeyes play that Cotton Bowl game against Missouri, they are going to be doing it with a new starting quarterback, Kyle McCord, who started all 12 regular season games for the Buckeyes, now in the transfer portal and looking for a new home. As of the time of recording, he does not have that new home just yet. But while Kyle McCord is gone, Devin Brown is still at Ohio State, and Devin Brown is the presumptive starter for the Cotton Bowl game. That has not been made official yet, but he was number 2 behind Kyle McCord all season long. Seems like he is most likely the one who's going to be stepping up and taking that start for the Buckeyes in Dallas. So today you're going to be hearing directly from Devin Brown. He's obviously sort of the man of the moment. You've not heard a lot from him this year, especially since going back to the summertime. So we're going to let you hear a little bit from him, some of his thoughts on the transfer of Kyle McCord, his new role as the presumptive starter, his new role as a potential bigger team leader than he has been previously, and much more. So let's start with just, are things different now with Kyle McCord gone and Devin Brown really just not having to look over his shoulder and knowing that he's most likely going to be QB1?
Yeah, definitely. All year I've always prepared like I was the starter. It's definitely different knowing you're getting a lot more reps because it's not split up or anything like that. So yeah, like you said, there's nothing to look over my shoulder for or anything, just to go out and have fun and play my game.
Has Devin Brown taken on a bigger leadership role now that he's kind of the presumptive quarterback and the presumptive leader? Have things changed there for him?
Yeah, they've had to change just because, it went from Kyle being the guy, to me having to step up as a leader again and gain the trust back of these guys and show them that, I still was the leader how I was in the summer before, the season started and everything. So it's good getting back in there. After
Kyle McCord announced his transfer, the Buckeyes were rumored to be looking at some guys in the transfer portal to potentially supplement that quarterback room. And Devin Brown tweeted out with no context, just a picture of a historical event about Cortez burning his boats. There's a whole long story with that, but it just means you burn your boats, you're there, you have nowhere to retreat to, you are where you are, and that's where you're going to stay. So what does the idea of burning the boats mean to Devin Brown?
There's one thing that I've always said is I'm a competitive guy and that I would like to go out and compete, so it doesn't matter what's going on. I'm always just going to, sink all my chips in it here. That's why I came here, was to be the best I can be here.
While the departure of Kyle McCord bumps Devin Brown one rung up the ladder from 2 to 1, it also bumps Lincoln Kienholz up the ladder from 3 to 2. He is now QB2, we're sort of assuming. So with Lincoln Kienholz now taking on more snaps and a bigger role, how has he pushed things in practice for Devin Brown?
Lincoln's just trying to get himself better every day. He's a really good athlete, and he's doing everything he can, just as I am, to be the starter. So he's going to keep working. We've been together in the film room and in the weight room together, so it's good to compete still.
There was some question about just how excited the Buckeyes were going to be in the Cotton Bowl, especially coming off a loss to Michigan and missing out on the college football playoff. Jack Sawyer made things pretty clear when he spoke a little French earlier in the week. If you missed that quote, you can find that on some of our previous shows. But how exciting is it for Devin Brown to now be in a position to be the guy for this game?
I'm pumped. I can't believe my first start's going to be, in the Cotton Bowl. It's a big stage against a really good team. It's a top 10 matchup, and I'm just excited to go out there and show what I can do.
Brown spent much of the season on the sideline watching Kyle McCord play, watching Kyle McCord be QB1 at Ohio State. So what did he learn from Kyle McCord when he was here?
Kyle went through a lot. He went through a lot, and I feel for the guy. There was a lot of tough moments, and he grew throughout his career here and built as a leader and built as a player, and being able to sit behind him and watch him grow really helped me look back and kind of think the things I should work on and go from how he was doing his things.
Mentioned earlier, there were reports that Ohio State was looking at some other quarterbacks in the portal to potentially add them for the 2024 season. How does that impact Devin Brown and his plans for the future?
My focus is on being the starting quarterback at Ohio State. I've never cared about who was in the room or anybody that was coming. That's kind of one of the main reasons was the whole burn the boat things. I don't care. I'm going to compete and do what I can do.
Brown missed a bunch of time this fall with an ankle injury. He said his ankle is all better now. He's good to go. But when that ankle injury first happened, was he concerned that might be a long enough term thing to really end his season?
Yeah, I mean, when it happened, it kind of caught me off guard, and it obviously hurt pretty good. And then I was just doing everything I could to come back. I mean, I was feeling really good, and then kind of retweaked it again in warm-ups. It was stupid how I did it. It just kind of got caught and twisted it weird. But there was never a thought of, oh, I'm going to be out for the season. I felt like I was able to come back.
Devin Brown and Kyle McCord were locked in a quarterback competition all spring and all summer before Kyle McCord ultimately won the job. So what did Ryan Day tell Devin Brown about what he liked and what he felt like he still needed to work on as that quarterback battle was sort of shaken out?
He felt like my leadership and energy was very good. I felt like I kind of bring an energy to the team, especially when I'm playing, that I feel like I can rally guys around me. So that was definitely a positive. But just staying consistent and not trying to get out of my game and just taking everything and being routine with everything.
Talked earlier a little bit about Devin Brown and his leadership and his energy that he's supposed to be bringing to the team, and that could be pretty important now as the team tries to bounce back from the loss to Michigan to face Missouri in the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. I think for a lot of guys, people are trying to figure out what they're doing, if they're going to the draft or not. You got guys going to the portal, all types of things. So it's a lot of people having individual thoughts. So having to be that glue and kind of bind everybody back together is my main focus right now. After
that quarterback battle got settled earlier over the summer, it was pretty clear Kyle McCord was going to be QB1, especially after the first couple weeks of the season. So how did Devin Brown stay prepared throughout the season, knowing that Kyle McCord was going to be the starter for the rest of the year?
Yeah, I mean, I treated every week like I was going to be the starter and that I was going to play in the game. So, whether it was watching film with Coach Fitch or watching film with Tristan, I took everything like I was going to be the guy.
That seems like that would sort of be a challenge, doesn't it? Always being prepared to be the starter, always knowing you're one snap away potentially from being the starter. But day after day and game after game and week after week, you're still the second guy in the line. So how hard is it to maintain that constant state of readiness after you are sitting in that second in line for quite a while?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard knowing that, like, a lot of times, it's not going to be the payout that you would want it to be, but, you never know what's going to happen. It could be a situation, that Kyle gets hurt or something and I'm back in there. So I just had to treat everything the same.
The job of a college quarterback, and especially a quarterback at Ohio State, has been at the center of the spotlight for years and decades now, but things have definitely changed a little bit in the game of college football over the last few years, and that has only made this spotlight shine brighter, for good and for ill, on the people who are in the quarterback position at schools like Ohio State. So what is it like to be a high-profile college quarterback these days?
Yeah, it's. I was talking about this with some of the coaches the other, even Tristan. Like he was 4 years late to all this NIL stuff and everything, but it's a completely different world. It's a completely different game. I mean, it's really kind of turned to the NFL. It's wild.
While Brown has been sort of waiting in the wings and sort of being at the ready as QB2 for Ohio State this season, what has he been working on this year to get better, to be ready for this moment?
I feel like one of the biggest things was consistency. I feel like there's definitely still things I could work on, but I feel like being more consistent with my plays and understanding what's really going on with the play has been the biggest thing.
We've obviously talked a bunch about Kyle McCord, who is now left, and Devin Brown, who's the presumptive starter for the Cotton Bowl, and even a little bit about Lincoln Kienholz, who is presumably going to be in the quarterback battle for 2024. But there's another scholarship guy in that Ohio State quarterback room that is former Oregon State quarterback and current Ohio State backup Tristan Gebbia. So what kind of resource has Tristan Gebbia been for Devin Brown, who started his college career after Tristan Gebbia had already been at a college campus for years and years?
Tristan's really like a best friend and a personal coach. I mean, every day I'm out here doing stuff with him on the field or in the film room, and he's been in college for 7 years now. This is his 7th season, so he's got a lot of wisdom, and I'm trying to get him to come back for an 8th year to help me out even more.
Being the quarterback at Ohio State obviously has lots of pros to it and lots of benefits, and now with NIL, even maybe more than before. But of course, there are also some cons as well. If you have the audacity to lose one game, well, some people on social media might let you know that you've really failed them and let them down. So how, if you were the quarterback at Ohio State, do you deal with all the pressure and all the stress of social media and the expectations of being the guy at Ohio State? That's something Kyle McCord had to deal with all fall. And now with Devin Brown being the guy, it's something he's going to have to deal with moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, that's why you come here, is to be at the top of the pedestal, and be in front of all these eyes. That's what Ohio State is. So there's going to be both sides, good or bad, and that's just kind of the nature of it. But at the end of the day, what truly doesn't matter, what other people's opinions are of you, all that matters is what your team thinks and what you feel.
The Buckeyes have a few more practices in Columbus before they wrap things up early next week. head out for a couple days to enjoy some time with their families, and then they will be down in Dallas on the 23rd of December to start their Cotton Bowl preparations. We'll be down there just a couple days later, covering practices, covering interviews, all that good stuff for you at BuckeyeHuddle.com. Should be a lot of stuff to talk about. We are also less than a week from early signing day. That is on next Wednesday, the 20th. Going to be a lot to talk about there as well, as the Buckeyes look to add a couple more commits and hang on to a few of their commitments right now who are, being targeted for flips by some other schools. Transfer portal also very alive, very active. Some Buckeyes still making decisions on their futures in terms of playing in the Cotton Bowl and whether they'll declare for the NFL draft. There is a lot going on right now. One of the busiest times of year, which is crazy because there's no game going on right now, but it is one of the busiest times of year for around Ohio State athletics and around BuckeyeHuddle.com. So if you've thought about becoming a member, give it a try, see if you like it. Lots of stuff to talk about right now. Very active community on our message board, the Huddle Board presented by Jeff Ruby Steakhouse, and much more. You can find us all at BuckeyeHuddle.com. That will do it for today. Thank you guys all for joining us. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.